Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, TucsonCoinshow.com, OldPuebloCoin.com. Thanks for joining me today for a 2025 preview video. We're going to look at the year 2025 in advance and talk to you a little bit about numismatics and some of the things that I'm looking forward to, what some of the movers and shakers might be doing. And we're going to go ahead and take this envelope here that says the future. And I'm super excited about this because I actually got a letter from all the powers that be that get to tell me exactly how coins are going to be priced, how coins are going to be graded, just how everything's going to work out. So I'm really excited to take a look at this and see what. All right, well, maybe Daniel got a good copy. All right, well, so in the meantime, I guess I'm just going to have to try to figure out the future on my own. And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the U.S. Mint, shall we? Because you guys love to talk about the U.S. Mint. As much as the U.S. Mint can get derided at times, people still spend a lot of time and money with their products, buying their annual coin sets, buying their annual commemoratives, and in general, loving and loving and loving the Silver Eagles. And one of the things that I know we're going to see this year, which will be fascinating to see, is going to be the marriage of the U.S. Mint with DC Comics. So we're looking forward to seeing some superheroes on our coins. Of course, the US Mint this last year in 2024 spent some time going into new lanes that it has not gone into before, partnering with a small computer company. And here they are going forward with something that's a little bit more robust, having a private contract with a group of people that actually most of us know. I am not really a comic book guy. Sometimes I might act like the comic book guy. No, you may not touch it. But I do know who Batman is. So that is good. But I can't tell you who he is because then someone might understand who he is and he might get in trouble. So you'll have to figure that one out for yourself. The U.S. Mint continues its Women in History on Quarters series. A series that is somewhat forgotten to the coin market a little bit. There are some pretty interesting designs on there. I will say that historically, I need to dig into those a little bit more because I don't know a lot of the ladies on those coins, unfortunately, and I am someone who has called for, Harriet Tubman or some other figure like that to be on some of our U.S. circulating coins or currency. I would love to see, speaking of the future, I would love to see some commemorative circulating currency. It doesn't take an act of God, but it takes an act of Congress, which seems like it's a lot more difficult to get through to get something like that done, because literally there are things that can happen in the coin realm that don't take any type of special congressional approval, and those things happen much easier and quicker. In the meantime, there are other things that do take an act of Congress, and in that instance, all bets are off as to whether or not something will actually change, because there's a lot of navel gazing when, guys, we could just go ahead and make something kind of fun and cool. We could go to polymer notes, which nobody wants besides me, and we could put really cool graphics and images on them and make them beautiful. Unlike what we have. We can all agree that we don't like our modern currency, and yet, what are we going to do about it, right? So some coin reform in 2025 would be beautiful, some paper reform as well, but that's not going to happen. But in my version, it does. My piece of paper was blank, but in my version, it happens. All right, 2025 in advance, we're going to preview the gold and silver market. Hold on to your hats, folks. There is just so many things that can go so many different directions in this world. And I've said this out loud before, and I have no problem saying it because it's just some guy on YouTube talking. I really believe that gold should be under $2,000 an ounce and silver should be around 20 bucks. That's just one man's opinion. I don't know how or why you can see a product shoot up in price and value, and at the same time, see just a complete lack of consumer demand for it. It seems inverted from what it should be. With consumer demand dropping, you should see the prices dropping as well. My conclusion is that there is not a consumer demand that drives the prices of gold and silver. That is my conclusion. So, am I predicting those markets will collapse? Well, sure, why not? I mean, it's a preview video for 2025. Let's take it back down to earth where it belongs, right? So I'm going to predict the collapse of gold and silver. By collapse, I simply mean it's going to go back down to where it was, like, whatever, a year ago. That's not really much of a prediction if you think about it. It's just that I say it in such an obnoxious way that it will make people cringe. So we've gone from the U.S. Mint. We've covered some things that are in the gold and silver market. How about coin shows? How will coin shows do this year? I'm very hopeful that you will see small local coin shows do very well. Maybe, I don't want to say that your local coin club shows won't do well. Some of your local shows do really well. But if you have a monthly show, it might be a little bit more of a saturated type market. I'm speaking of more of like what I'd call like a nice mid-sized show, mid-sized show. I think those shows will eventually start to do better and better in the marketplace, and some of the oversized large shows will do not quite as well. We shall see what happens. It's interesting to me as I see the market change, because my perspective is one of both a dealer and a consumer. As I look at what it costs to put on a show, as I look at what it costs to go to shows, both as a dealer and or as a consumer, it's very interesting to me to see just kind of how those things, what those things are, and in my mind, how those things in the future will be. So I see the dealers having a harder time sometimes at some of the bigger shows, as far as having enough consumers there. But on the other end of it, as long as enough dealers get together, there's business to be had and money be made, but you've got to be able to have consumers as well. So we shall see. I don't think 2025 is something that's going to actually break the back of any of these shows. I think this is just one of my weird long-term prognostications. Hopefully you'll come and see us at the Tucson Coin Show, TucsonCoinshow.com. This year, 2025, it's January 17th, 18th, brought to you by Stax Bowers and the Coin Geek. And also, hopefully, I'll be able to make it to some of the shows and see some of you there. It's been one of my favorite things from the past, is seeing y'all at coin shows. My calendar has Central States on it. I hope to make sure I can get there. I really hope to be able to do Carson City again this year. I had such a great time there last year. I like doing as many of the little regional shows as I can. I'm not sure my wife will let me ever go to Albuquerque again, but I want to be there in March, so we'll see how that goes. There's just a whole lot of things that go into Albuquerque, folks. I love that place, and my automobiles don't. So let's see, other regional shows. I try to get to a Vegas show once a year, the PCGS members only show, and the CK show if I can get there a couple times. At the end of the day, I could do shows all day long. I love doing shows. I love seeing people, and I like to travel. So at the same time, I've got a shop to run. I got a family. So there's all these things that work in different directions at the same time. There's also going to be a new show in Indianapolis. Matt Dinger over at Lost Dutchman is in charge of revitalizing the Indianapolis area show. And that is, I think, going to be the weekend before Thanksgiving or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, if I recall correctly. But anyone in the Central States area, if you go to the Central States show, I encourage you to go and support the Lost Dutchman Indianapolis version of that show. Alrighty, folks, so we've touched on everything but coins. How about that? The coin market itself. I think that in 2025, we will continue to see a little bit of what we saw in the last couple of years. A market that's very diverse, a market that has very competing interests, and I think that you're going to continue to see strong sales for coins that have good eye appeal. I believe the coin collecting community is becoming a little bit more savvy. This creates softness in certain areas. Coins that are not as attractive or are possibly overgraded, I think will not trade as well. I know this is a surprise to some of you, and maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but the reality is that even during the times when the coin market was considered by many to be dead, so the middle 2010s, right, 2015, I've seen interviews with coin dealers that dealt in hard to get material, either rare by actual type or rare by quality. And those dealers, even during the doldrums, all said the same thing. It is so hard to get good material. And this is something that will always be true about coins and coin collecting, is that really nice material sells very well. And that's the type of thing that's really nice to put into your collection if you can, especially if you can do it in like a cherry picking fashion where you're finding stuff at a reasonable level. But as I learned one time when I was at the PCGS members only show in Vegas from a gentleman who had me beat by a few decades, and I said, oh, never fall in love with a pretty face, and don't overpay for coins. I made one of those types of comments, and his comment to me was, I've overpaid for every coin I've ever bought. And I thought, dang, that guy's probably got a killer collection, because at the end of the day, it is about collecting. It's about putting something together that's fun for yourself and for the future. And in some ways, there's not really such a thing as overpaying when you're buying something that you plan on holding on to for decades. And when someone can look at your coin collection and just kind of be like, that's fun. And even if that's cheaper coins, so I want to make sure that people understand that you can put together nice coins that I call mid-century modern coins, stuff from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that really is a unique view, a unique look, a unique quality, and not break the bank. There's still an area of collecting in there where you can put something together and be proud of, and do it on more of what you would call a blue-collar budget. All right, what else is going to happen in 2025? My blank paper was very, very blank. So for those of you out there who have good predictions about what's actually going to happen, maybe your envelope actually had something written inside like mine did not, go ahead and leave some of your comments down below on that. Before we get to the sign off, one more thing to talk about is going to be just the electronic future, some of the things that we see in the marketplace between Whatnot and Vaultbox and Witter Brick, and some of the things that go on out there in those spaces. What new apps will come along that'll disrupt the marketplace. Of course, what will artificial intelligence do to the marketplace? There's all these things that people have. I'm going to just hold off on most of that for 2025 for the AI type stuff. My general feeling is still the same as it's been. Computers can be an asset, they can be a tool, but also really, really at the end of the day, it's all about people. The entire market and entire hobby place is about people. And so the things that are important are the things that you cannot buy. And so when you look at the coin market in general, that connection with other people is why I feel so strongly about both community of YouTube, coin clubs, and coin shows. And some of the other things that are out there that are a lot more just like a selling platform, sales and whatnot, those things are not exactly the type of thing that I see really taking over the marketplace. At the end of the day, the new collector, I think, still needs more human interaction than ever and is into that type of thing versus being electronic. The younger collector may be electronic based, but at the end of the day, they are also very much about events and event-driven things. So we shall see what will happen post 2025, way deep into the future. But for now, I'm signing off. Leave your comments below on what you think 2025 will hold for the coin market, and if there's anything in particular you're really looking forward to. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.